The way in which I stay connected to Allah and get clarity and keep my connection to Him is just making sure that I am constantly talking to Him.
No one is perfect. I struggle with so many things in my daily life. I struggle with my prayers, I struggle with my hijab, I struggle with so many other things. But at the end of the day, what's important is if you're trying hard enough, because Allah sees it.
I feel closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after prayer, that moment of just sitting down and thinking, especially during Maghrib and Isha.
On occasion when I am more focused in prayer, I feel closer to God.
I feel closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when I'm praying. I think it's just really beautiful.
Anytime I'm reminded of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, I feel really closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether it's like going through something challenging and then having it work out really amazingly.
I feel closer to Allah with my parents. I feel closer to Allah in the masjid. Maybe not all the time, but when it's more of an effort on your part where I want to go to the masjid. I want to go take time out and pray there. That's when it really feels like I'm connecting with Allah again.
Every second of my life, I just, God, Allah, challenges me every day and keeps me focused.
A lot of times when I am in need, I'll be really honest. That's the time I probably kneel in front of Him with my heart, full of my heart. But at the same time, I'm really grateful that Allah has been really kind to me. And that thing has been coming in and out of my head every now and then, where I think that I need to follow a path which tries to communicate with Allah other than the general and normal prayers that we're supposed to do. And that connection is something I constantly keep working on.
Ramadan. Definitely Ramadan is the time I feel close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember a khutbah from Eid Salah, probably 2 or 3 years ago, by Irfan Kareem, if those of you familiar with him, the Illinois scene. And he spoke about how Ramadan in and of itself is a month of transformation. And he compared it and he ran this analogy to farming and harvest, and how during Ramadan, right, this is all you're doing all of these things and you're trying to plant the seeds for further growth. And then the month after Ramadan is essentially a time of the year where you're supposed to start reaping what you sow. So Ramadan is definitely a point where spirituality and all of that really flourishes for me. It's definitely a very, very beautiful time.
Sometimes I feel at the end of the day, only Allah is there for me, and that's fine, and there's something really beautiful about that.
Like I mentioned earlier, I feel most disconnected when I'm just distracted, and it's things that pull me away from the things that are important.
Since my schedule is really tight due to my busy schedule, work, college, other volunteer stuff and all that kind of stuff, there are times when I miss my prayers and then I have to make up, do qada prayers. I just feel doing qada prayers okay, but that's the time for me when I disconnect.
I feel most disconnected from Islam when I'm being heedless and I'm not being present in the moment, and there's times where I feel especially during grad school, felt like I was being a robot for hours, literally just doing work and doing what I need to get done and not just having that moment to breathe. And I felt even with my prayers, there's times where I was struggling to just stay focused, and I think that was my personal spiritual journey during that time, to really just get back to focus. So I feel I feel most disconnected in those moments where I feel I'm just not present, and I think for me that's my test, and where I just need to in those moments of high stress, I just need to relax and breathe, and it'll get better.
So I would have to say I feel most disconnected when I'm surrounded by technology, right? So I mean, you could find yourself at home, you have the TV on, you have your phone in your hand, you have your laptop next to you, and it's you know, what am I really doing with my time, you know? If I, on my laptop, you know, if I have the Quran open, that's a different story. But a lot of the times, you know, you have a movie on the TV, you're on Instagram on your phone, and your laptop, you know, has something else open, you're on YouTube. And so it really is, that's when I feel the most disconnected, is when I'm connected to technology, because that's really, you know, really what else could I be doing with my, you know, with my time? I could be meditating, I could be outside taking a walk, you know, I could be speaking to family. Like there's so many other things that I could do. And again, because my whole family is Muslim, talking to them helps me feel connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to my religion. And so I feel most disconnected when I'm connected to technology.
Honestly, I think when our own community ends up judging each other, just because you feel like you're not doing it for yourself or for your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore, and you're doing it for the people that are looking at you and are judging you, and that's frustrating. So the moment that I think I've allowed myself to let what other people's expectations of me are within my own community is when I felt most disconnected.
I read the duas. There's like a couple of 2-3 ayats that I read constantly, regularly, and they help me. They've helped me previously too. A couple of years ago, there was one that I started reading and it helped me a lot.
When I was about 13 years old, my uncle passed away, and that really, like, not really scared me, but I would say that brought me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I was able to see the reality of this dunya. Like, this dunya is just a test. It's temporary.
I don't think I actually used to pray on the tasbih as much as I do now after I came back from Umrah. I think that kind of calms me down, and it's like this, it's a time where it's, you know, just me focusing on that, and again, my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I think that's important to sometimes give yourself 5-10 minutes just to step away from the world.
For me personally, when I started turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during those hard times, it was way, like, I saw a difference, because like versus when I turned to music and you know, all the other stuff, just because like those are worldly things, you know, those are temporary. I mean, it is hard to get to the point where you realize all these things are temporary. Everything's temporary.
Clarity / connection with God is before I pray. Definitely during wudu and before I start the prayer, just sort of like dispel my thoughts, and just like, you know, in Harry Potter, he just takes it out of his mind and puts it aside for later. Just try to do that, so then you're a little more zen.
So communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I feel like, so every time I make a mistake, so when I miss my prayer or whatever the mistake is, I feel like my mistake brings me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is my only dua. Every time I'm praying, I pray to Allah, I make dua, okay, Ya Allah, please bring me close to you, you know. And I feel like every time I make mistake, this is like a plan. This is a plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants me to get close to Him and learn from my mistakes.
I would say like self-reflection. Like I would have to, you know, like look at myself, and you know, like at the end of the day, you know, like analyze everything I did during that day. You know, like what I did wrong, what I did right. You know, how can I improve, you know, on the things that I did wrong, and how I can improve on the things I did right.
Apart from following the basic principles, I, in my own capacity, try to be compassionate. I think that's something, that's the only additional thing that keeps me on the track, because I don't think, even though I'm not someone who is like, who follows everything that Islam mandates you to do. However, the constant struggle about that, hey, can I be helpful to anyone? Can I be good to anyone? And I try to like help people in my own way, putting your faith in one hand and extracting whatever is the extrinsic factors out of your faith, and not just follow the basic, you know, the lectures or the path shown to us by our scholars, which is important for sure, but I think it's more of how you perceive it, how you take that additional step, and when I do that, in terms of being compassionate, is something that helps me out.
So in prayer, we are having a conversation with Allah. That is our moment to really put everything aside and just have that focus. But along with that, throughout my day, I really just try to be aware of His presence and just have a simple conversation and increase my connection to Him. Basically, like I'm talking to a friend. And I think that has definitely improved and increased my connection to Him and my reliance, trust, and love for Him.
For me, it's talking to my parents and really not just listening to their advice, but taking their advice, because I mean they've been told the same thing, they've applied it to their lives, and it's helped them. So I'm sure it can help me at the end of the day too.
I do have family and friends who are disconnected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My advice would be to just see, with me, it doesn't matter how many mistakes I make, it doesn't matter what I do, I make sure that I at least do pray 5 times daily. So my advice to them is to start with at least praying 1 time or something. Like, you don't have to pray all 5 prayers, just at least get into that habit and start with like wake up for Fajr if you can. If you can't, then maybe whenever you have time to pray any other prayers, go ahead, do that. Just at least pray and then get into that habit.
It was definitely a struggle to like change from the worldly things to actually like turning to Allah, but it's better for you. It makes a difference in a good way. So I think those are that's when you have the strongest connection, when you feel like you changed into a better Muslim.
Whether the connection is strong or weak, I know it's there, because like even if I want to ignore this connection because I'm so caught up in my own life, it just always is just back.
An aspect or the aspect of Islam that I connect with or attempt to is being conscious of God wherever you are and whatever you're doing.
Alhamdulillah, I love reading the Quran. I think it's one of the things I really enjoy doing, and teaching it, and especially the verses that I've memorized. Alhamdulillah, they're just amazing every time.
The aspect of Islam that I try and implement as much as I can in my life is just being kind. I think the fact that Islam is a religion of peace, and a lot of it is about how you treat other people. It's about uplifting others, it's about doing good for others. Charity is a huge aspect, so I try really hard to integrate those into my life, because I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and she is Hindu, and we had this conversation about how at the core of it, it's about being a good person and being good to the people around you. So regardless of what faith you are, regardless of your gender or your ethnicity, whatever, I'm going to be a good person to you because that's what I've been taught.
I think what I love most about Islam is that it's really just all about love. That's the essence of it. Really the reason why we were created is to know Allah and to love Him and to love His Prophet, and everything connects with that. And then there's all these other external things that are just tests for us, and it can be easier said than done, but in the essence it really is all about love. And if you really believe that and you try to share that, and you will start seeing that Allah will start manifesting things for you in which you'll feel that love and mercy, and you'll feel that from others as well.